What's up, Beyonders? It's your co-host, Joe.
And I'm your host, Bryce, and this is episode 6 of
Sports and Beyond! Let's go, baby.
Okay, Joe. It's been a little bit since we recorded. A lot has happened in sports. First thing that I thought was very interesting, post Luka Doncic trade, the Lakers thought they found their man in a center. Joe, break this down for us.
Boy, this is a great move for the Lakers. Mark Williams, great young center. He's only like 22 years old. He's a dog. I watch his highlight. I think he's one of, if not the most underrated center in the league right now. He's huge, big-bodied. He's not very good on defense, but he's huge. Insane presence on offensive rebounding, insane presence on offense in general. However, I think this is a lose-lose situation, or it could be viewed as a win-win. I think the Lakers win and they lose at the same time because they gave up Dalton Knecht and Cameron Reddish. Cameron Reddish, he's just kind of like a guy that will probably never touch the court. But Dalton Knecht is a very promising rookie, and I'm surprised that the Lakers were willing to give him up like this.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be fair, Mark Williams, 7 foot, 240, so he's a bigger guy in the league.
Dog.
The Lakers need a center. It's always been a joke going on, but it is very apparent that they do need a center presence in this team. For reference, Mark Williams this season, 15.6 points per game, 9.6 rebounds per game. He's been shooting 58% from the field. Very well accurate shooter, I'd say, in the league, where normally you shoot 50, 40, 90.
2.5 assists for a big man. 2.5 assists for a big man. Pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely the man that they feel like they could bring presence and elevate the team to. But I feel like giving Dalton Knecht, which I'm not going to say he's a dominant young player in the league. He's only averaging 9. He's only averaging 9 points per game. He's a rookie. He's still trying to find himself, trying to figure out the league. And it's still too early to call his year and call his whole span of the career. But I don't know if he was worth moving. But if they were going to move anyone who was young, I would have moved Dalton Knecht too. But all of this seemed picture perfect, except for he was actually sent back to the Hornets because he failed his physical, which is insane to me. And as a franchise, you know how embarrassing that is to welcome back the players that you just sent away?
You just traded away, yeah. How do you come back and want to play for that team?
Yeah, it sucks, and I feel bad for both parties in this sense. And it's very interesting to see because I'm pretty sure that the way that they broke down the trade online and announced the trade, that the Hornets sent him to the Lakers, not the Lakers acquiring Mark Williams. But in the statement, the Hornets said that they didn't want to let him go, but there was an offer that they couldn't deny.
Yeah, now the Hornets are trying to make a deal with the NBA to make the trade go through. So who knows if Mark Williams will even be the same player or even want to play for the Hornets anymore. Maybe he'll sit out for the rest of the year and request a trade in the offseason after this. Who knows?
And the biggest question is why wasn't he able to go process through the Lakers? And I feel like that's what the Hornets are really worried about is what did he fail that caused him to not even want the Lakers to keep him. So that's a big factor because if that's something that went under their radar, it could be very concerning for the Hornets organization. I could see why they might not want to keep him in the future. So it's going to be interesting to see what he will do. Obviously, trade down deadline is now closed, so they're kind of stuck with him on the team.
The Lakers
and that's
center.
Yeah,
which still need a center.
Funny that we mentioned this. We are recording on the 13th. The next game that the Hornets play is on the 19th against the Lakers. So it's very interesting to see these two teams clash. I'm interested to see it, and I just want to say Mark Williams is actually. He's young. He's very dominant. Not dominant, but he's a very good player for his position and for the age. So I really want to see him succeed. Like you said, he's so young. He's 23 years old. It sucks to see this go through, but I'm more of interested to see what the teams are going to do now that they don't have the center. Obviously, we know, spoilers, this isn't a headline, but our boy from Sacramento, Alex Len, got picked up by the Lakers.
I'm so glad he's gone.
Which I'm happy he's gone too because
He had a
Yeah.
legacy game in playoffs when the Kings made the playoffs in game 1 against the Warriors. Legacy game. I was like, dang, Alex Len's underrated. They're sleeping on Alex Len. But this guy is 7 feet tall and can't grab a board or play defense. How are you
Yeah.
blessed with that height but can't use it to your advantage?
Not only that, but I mean, recently playing on the Lakers, I watched a couple highlights, and he really does stink. I mean, I feel bad. He's obviously an old Kings player that I respected. I definitely thought he was a good player when he was playing against the Warriors that one game. But after that, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of happy that we terminated his contract, got rid of him, sent him to free agency. Then when he got picked up, I'm like, hey, maybe new beginnings for him, see what he could do in this league. Gets an opportunity to get actual playing minutes because obviously the Lakers need a center. And he sucks. Like, oh my, woo. Man, that is it. It sucks for the Lakers because they're trying to find that man to put the cherry on top to get in this win now mentality that they have. Obviously, they got Braun, they got Luka, they have a few, Austin Reeves. There's some players on there that could definitely go out there and make plays, but they need a center. Yeah, they need a center.
They don't have a center, and I think that's the biggest kicker. I thought when this trade happened, like when it first happened before it got pulled, I thought, shoot, the Lakers are winning the finals. They got Luka, they got a good young center, and they got LeBron James. Luka and LeBron James are like probably top 10 playoff performers of all time. LeBron James for sure. I don't know about Luka just yet, but Luka's the same guy that carried his team to the finals and Western Conference Finals. So two very extremely great playoff performers. And then you got Mark Williams. So I thought the league was over after this trade. But it should be interesting to see where the Lakers will go after they deal with the struggle of not having a center.
Yeah, and the biggest question that I keep asking myself is when the Lakers are ready to move on from LeBron, if he even continues to play past the next 2 years or so, theoretically saying that he continues to play, what are they going to do to kind of keep relevancy? I mean, obviously they got Luka, but they don't have that young center to have that duo. Normally in LA, there's always two superstars, and you can't do it alone with just Luka.
Shaq and Kobe, Powell and Kobe, LeBron and AD, all those guys. They always are paired with an all-star because the NBA loves the Lakers. Let's be real. NBA loves the Lakers. And there's hardly a season where the Lakers are a bad team, but I think after LeBron retires, they won't be bad, but I think they'll be like fighting to stay in the playoffs because, at the end of the day, if they have Luka Doncic, they're going to be a decent team no matter what because Luka Doncic is Luka Doncic.
Yeah, but my question for you, Joe, is if this trade went through, do you think that they would have had that promising duo that they were looking for moving past Braun?
Oh yeah, for sure. They would have won the finals for sure. They would have won the finals this year, and they would have had a nice young duo. Mark Williams is 22, Luka's 25, two young players, and NBA prime is considered 27 years old to like 30 years old, or like 26 to like 29, 27.
Some people have like 2 or 3 primes in the NBA just because it's a physically demanding game, but you could play it at an old age. Obviously, LeBron James still doing what he's doing at 40. It's insane. Steph Curry has been popping off. We hate the Warriors, but you got to give credit to Steph Curry.
Still good.
I think
Curry is still good.
Up until last game, I'm pretty sure he had 3 30-point plus games back to back to back, which is impressive, especially at his age.
He's the only reason why the Warriors are still like fighting for a playoff spot. If they didn't have Curry, they'd be like a 10-win team.
Well, Joe, I'm glad you mentioned that because there's another big move in San Fran. Jimmy Butler to the Warriors. Now, we did talk about Jimmy Butler 3 times on this podcast already. One time about why we think that he deserves to go. One thinking where he's going to go. Now we know where he finally landed. Joe, what do you think about this, man?
Man, Jimmy Butler, I've mentioned it before. I love Jimmy Butler. He's probably my favorite player who's never been a Sacramento King. I love Jimmy Butler because of his backstory. He's clutch. He's the type of guy that elevates his team. But man, why does the NBA have to break my heart by sending him to the Golden State Warriors? Now, although Jimmy Butler to the Warriors sounds great out of retrospect, I think that both teams could win this trade, or the Heat might win this trade in a couple years from now, because the Warriors gave up a lot for Jimmy Butler. They gave up Andrew Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Anderson, and a first-round pick. All 3 of those guys. I mean, Andrew Wiggins is a starter; he's pretty good. And then Kyle Anderson's a great bench player. Dennis Schroeder's also a great bench player. So they sacrificed their bench for Jimmy Butler. But Jimmy Butler is a very, very good player and an insane playoff performer. I mean, you got Steph and Jimmy Butler on the same team in the playoffs. I think if the Warriors make the playoffs, they're going to do some serious damage because they have two of the best playoff performers, like top 10 playoff performers all time, probably on their team. So Jimmy Butler to the Warriors, definitely interesting.
No, and what is interesting too is you mentioned that they gave away Wiggins and a couple other assets as well as Dennis Schroeder. Well, they already flipped Dennis Schroeder for more things because they sent him from the Warriors to the Heat to the Jazz, and then he finally landed in Detroit, and he's going to stay there. But it's very interesting to see, especially because he came out before the deadline saying that the NBA deadline is kind of like modern slavery, which is insane to me that he's getting passed around. I feel bad for the guy. He's not a bad player in no means. They're making him look like they're making him sound like he's a washed player that can't find a place to go. Kind of like a Dwight Howard before he got sent over to Taiwan, where he was kind of just bouncing around teams, kind of finding a place to go to. It's interesting to see. Yeah, that's the thing is like Dennis Schroeder's not bad. He just hasn't been able to find a franchise that actually wants to like depend on him and keep on him. I mean, to the Hawks, he was on the Hawks, and then he got sent to Brooklyn.
You know the vibe,
and then he got sent. Yeah,
the vibe he gives me is like a Ryan Fitzpatrick vibe. He goes to a team, he's solid for the team, but he's just not somebody that they ever want to commit to long term.
It's either that or they feel like they could get a little bit of trade asset off of him, so they kind of just bring him in to help build up his stock and then get rid of him. I feel like the Warriors bringing Dennis Schroeder in at first, they thought, oh, good bench depth, but then they realized that, oh, we could use him as a trade asset and get something a little bit better at the moment. Now, back to the Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler right now, I'm going to be the stats guy today because I'm on top of it, Joe. 17.6 points per game, 5.4 rebounds per game, 4.9 assists per game, and he's shooting 53% from the field. Now, you got to keep in mind, Joe, Jimmy Butler has been sitting out for a significant amount of games this season.
That's true.
Obviously, he's been suspended a couple times in the Heat, and we've seen a couple games him playing with the Warriors already. I'm going to say this. Jimmy Butler knows his role on this Warriors team. He knows that he's not going to be the person to go bring up the ball and score for the team, but he knows that. So he's playing his role perfectly fine, and I feel like the Warriors are going to be a scary team. I hate to say it. I'm a Kings fan. You're a Kings fan, but Jimmy Butler knows his role on this Warriors team. He knows that he needs to go out there, make shots when he needs to. If not, give the ball to Curry and let him do his thing.
Exactly. Two all-time playoff performers on the same team. I think this will go good. It's just the problem. Their big problem is their second unit. So we'll see how the Warriors pan out.
Yeah, and like you said, they got rid of their bench. So they don't really have a lot coming off the bench. So they're kind of relying on they're going to give up like maybe 110 points, but they're hoping that they could score 120 to 140. I mean, in the NBA, in the league that we're in now in the NBA, it's the first person to get to 120 points basically wins. It's a race.
Yes.
Screw defense. And people complain. And here's my take on it, right? I was talking to this with one of the basketball coaches at Hillmar. If anyone doesn't know, this is the school we go to. I was talking to the coach, and he brought up a good point. It's not that defense is bad in the NBA. It's the fact that offense is just so good that you can't defend it.
Exactly.
So that's the problem with the NBA right now is I feel like the NBA is an offensive game right now, and the rules benefit the offensive team. So obviously it's going to be really hard to do your job on the defensive side. Much like the NFL. The NFL is a very offensive-oriented game. A lot of the calls go toward the offense's favor. So obviously it's very hard to do your job on the defensive end of the ball because the league doesn't do anything on the defensive end of the ball. So it's definitely interesting to see. I'm excited to see what Jimmy Butler does. One more trade, one of the bigger trades that I think we saw, obviously a man who's been very loyal to the Pelicans, Brandon Ingram, gets sent to the Raptors, which, damn. Not to mention, this trade also sent, I wouldn't say Kings legend, but I definitely liked him when he was on the Kings, Donovan Mitchell to Miami. I love Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell played really good. He was the Davion Mitchell.
Two very different people.
Davion Mitchell was the Keon Ellis before Keon Ellis. I'm just going to say it there. We just gave up on him too quickly.
I agree. We should have kept Davion around. He was very good, especially in that series against the Warriors. But anyway, we're not going to go too off topic just yet because we're going to talk about that in a bit. I think that the Raptors absolutely fleeced the Pelicans. The Raptors only sent Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, a first-round pick, and a second-round pick for Brandon Ingram, who can play amazing defense and great offense. And I think Raptors are definitely struggling right now. They're one of the last teams in the East. But I think for years to come, this will benefit their team. I mean, they got Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly, Grady Dick, and a couple of other players.
Olynyk, they still have Olynyk, I think, right? Or did they get rid of him?
No, they just they traded him. They traded him to the Pelicans.
Oh. Okay, my bad. Sorry.
No, yeah, it's all good. Very solid team that they could build up in the future, especially if Dick pans out to be the player they want him to be. I think that will work out. And then you got Scotty Barnes, who's already proven to be good. Emmanuel Quickly's great off the bench. And then we forgot RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett's pretty underrated, pretty good player. So they got some options.
Yeah, and people, like, honestly, when you think of Brandon Ingram, you think he's been in the league for a long time, and obviously he has, but he's only 27. This guy's still young. And 22.2. Yeah, he's averaging 22.2 points per game, 5.6 rebounds per game, 5.2 assists per game. And he's shooting 46 from the field, but obviously that's going to go up a little bit more because he's on the Raptors. And I feel like the Raptors are less. I feel like he's going to be the main person to be shooting the ball on the Raptors because he's the veteran. So I feel like his shooting percentage should go up, hopefully. But he is dealing with an ankle injury. I hope that he gets healthy. I hope that he develops, but establishes a role in this Raptors team. But what really interests me is why did the Pelicans give up on him? Like, why did they trade him?
I think it's because the Pelicans are low-key falling apart on the inside because Zion never wants to play anymore. I mean, he plays like once in a blue moon, but he's a good player, but he just never wants to play.
Well, Joe, actually, sorry, I want to interrupt you here. I actually saw, and I don't know if this is true, but Zion Williamson went on a interview with one of the news medias saying that if he was allowed to, he would be playing back-to-back nights. He doesn't want to sit as much as he is, but he said that the Pelicans organization isn't allowing him to do that. So yes. I feel like the problem isn't the players playing. I feel like the problem is the organization playing too passive and not allowing their players to do their own thing.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure because as we've seen, as of today, it's February 13th. Yesterday, February 12th, the Kings and the Pelicans, they played a game and they play again tonight. And Zion played last night, but he's out tonight because of those concerns, because of just his weight and just his big figure. A big guy like him needs more time to recover. And I think that's his only problem is that Zion's an amazing player. It's just his body is what's preventing him from being the greatest.
Yeah, we've seen it before. Zion, when he got injured that first time a couple years ago, he gained weight. Like he was a big guy. Yeah. Like, and people are concerned about Luka Doncic gaining weight. This guy made Luka Doncic look like a freaking like marshmallow compared to this guy. This guy looks like, dude, oh my gosh. Zion Williamson gained pounds. And for right now, I mean, he's still big. He's 6'6", 284. That's insane. That's crazy. That's insane. But Zion, obviously he's a good player right now. He's 24. He's averaging 24.4 points per game, 7.4 rebounds, and 5 assists a game with 54 shooting spread. That's pretty solid, especially for someone who sits out back-to-back games or games that he plays, like games that he always is playing. I guess back-to-back games, I guess is what I'm trying to say. He does play a lot of back-to-back games or doesn't play a lot of back-to-back games. It's just interesting to see this Pelicans kind of get rid of Brandon Ingram. And like you said, I feel like there is a lot of displeasure in the organization. So I feel like they're in a selling mentality to rebuild and hopefully get picks, tank, and go from there.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure.
Okay, Joe. I know you've been excited to talk about this. Obviously, the Kings, there's a new era, right? Would you agree that there's a new era in the Sacramento Kings?
Yes. Oh, for sure. Another trade we did not talk about is Jonas Valanciunas to the Kings. I mean, all the Kings had to do was give up 2 second-round picks and City Kazoko, who was the guy the Kings got in the De'Aaron Fox trade. I mean,
Yeah, from Chicago. They got him from Chicago. They gave him his number. They gave him like this hype up video, and then they sent him away like 2 hours later, which is insane. But it's just the way the NBA is, man. NBA trade deadline is harsh. We saw with Dennis Schroeder. It's not forgiving at all. Like unfortunately, teams are gonna get rid of you to benefit themselves. And the Kings are in a new era of NBA basketball. And it's interesting to see. I'm excited to see how things pan out. Obviously, Joe, I know you want to talk about the new signing that just happened within yesterday, I think it was.
Yeah, sorry about that. The new signing was Markelle Fultz. So Markelle Fultz was a former first overall pick, taken in the same draft as De'Aaron Fox. Markelle Fultz, he's a good player. I mean, last time he started in the NBA, he was averaging 14 points for the Magic, and he plays great defense. So I think this is a great pickup for the Kings, solidifying their bench unit. And another thing that we forgot to consider was that the Kings traded for Jake LaRavia, who's a very, very solid Kings player, or player in general for the Grizzlies. I mean, very good wing that can shoot, play good defense. So now we look at the Kings bench unit. So before, the biggest reason why the Kings haven't been successful this season is because of their bench unit. I mean, at the start of the year, we had De'Aaron Fox starting, Malik Monk starting, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis. But on our bench, all we had was Keon Ellis and Trey Lyles. But now our bench unit looks pretty strong because now Malik Monk starts, but now we have Markelle Fultz, Keon Ellis, Jake LaRavia, Trey Lyles, and Jonas Valanciunas just in our bench unit. I think hot take, that could be but that could be a decent starting lineup for a team.
No, it's definitely, I feel like the Kings, especially under Doug Christie right now, he's setting up a good bench, and there's a lot of depth in the bench. If he really wanted to, he could sit all of his starters and still have a solid starting lineup.
Exactly. So I think that the Sacramento Kings look great. I mean, as of right now, the Kings are 28-26. But Doug Christie has really changed the culture of this team. Doug Christie, I think, only has 8 losses as a King, and I think about 15 as the coach, 15-8, which is a pretty good record. I think if we had Doug Christie, we'd have a better record from the start of the season because Mike Brown was the same guy that was giving Keon Ellis DMPs every night. And that makes him really look dumb, because especially after last night when Keon Ellis dropped 27 points against the Pelicans, and he's played amazing defense. He is the Curry stopper. He's the new Matthew Dellavedova. He's locked up Curry every time we've played Curry. He's a great defender, and Mike Brown wasn't playing him. So Doug Christie really elevates this team. I mean, if we look at our team now, at the point guard, we got Malik Monk. Shooting guard, we start Zach LaVine. I have some opinions on him for sure. DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis, and then the bench unit we just explained. So that's a very solid team. So I'm just hoping that the Kings can take advantage of their schedule. I know the next 2 games, we play the Pelicans tonight, who only have 12 wins, and Zion's not playing. So the Kings should win that. I say should, but the Kings are notorious for losing the teams that they should beat. And then we play the Warriors, and we're 2-0 against the Warriors this season. To be fair, they do have Jimmy Butler now. If we can pick up those 2 critical wins and just keep picking up wins on the road before the All-Star break, I think that'd be very crucial to this Kings team's success.
But also, what's interesting, Joe, is last year the Pelicans were our kryptonite. We played against them 8 games, and we didn't win a single one in that 6. Sorry. Well, no, because we played them in the NBA Cup.
Yeah.
So we played them 8 times, and we didn't win a single time. It's interesting to see that now that we're actually building a depth bench, having a good lineup developing, I feel like we are going to grow and build up a team. Obviously, our bench is a little bit older players than Valanciunas. Zach LaVine's getting up there in age. Domantas Sabonis isn't getting any younger. DeMar DeRozan isn't getting any younger. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it is quality. We do have quality. Keon Ellis, pretty good quality, promising young guard. Yeah. So it's interesting to see, and I personally like this new era of Kings basketball. You don't like the De'Aaron Fox trade, and I am happy that he's gone. I keep sending Joe Instagram things about how De'Aaron Fox has kind of just been super toxic towards the organization and the
Somebody has
franchise
to trust.
after
Somebody has to trust.
he left. The thing, okay, Joe, right? When he was on the Sacramento Kings, his best friend was Domantas Sabonis. As soon as he gets
Malik
sent to
Monk.
San
Malik
Antonio,
Monk, best friend Malik Monk.
okay, but he turned his back on Malik Monk too.
That's true. At least Malik Monk knew about the trade. Domantas Sabonis didn't.
Okay, but then why go and unfollow Domantas Sabonis, the guy that you? Oh, Joe, I'm just saying, De'Aaron Fox was very toxic, leaving Sacramento. I don't like how he left, and I don't like how he's treating our franchise now. He's acting as if he was the victim, as if he didn't fuck over the. Sorry, excuse my language, but he fucked over the franchise.
I don't think he screwed us over. I think that he just he didn't screw us over because we got a return, but like emotionally, yes. But I don't want to believe it because De'Aaron Fox is my go. I love De'Aaron Fox.
See, Joe, you let him manipulate you. He made his wife go on social media saying that he doesn't want it out, but then he tells his agent that they should probably trade him, meaning that he wants to leave. So it's very interesting to see, and I don't agree with what De'Aaron Fox is doing right now, man. I mean, I'm happy that he's on a team that he feels like he could win. Yeah, get rid of it, Joe. Burn it. Get rid of it.
I'm never getting rid of this.
De'Aaron Fox is doing good on San Antonio. Okay. De'Aaron Fox is doing good in San Antonio, but I don't like what he did to the Kings organization. And they left us with Zach LaVine. Now,
oh my God.
I like Zach LaVine when he was on the Bulls. On the Kings, he is playing absolute crap. It is horrible. And Joe, I want you to hold back because I don't want people to think we're crazy, but I want you to say what you think right now. I'm going to go get water. I'm parched.
Okay. Well, while Bryce is gone, y'all, hate is an understatement. I heavily dislike Zach LaVine. Horrible player for the Kings. Horrible, absolutely, so far. I mean, Zach LaVine has zero shot IQ at all. We see it as we watch the games. Zach LaVine will carelessly drive to the rim and just hope for the best. He'll isolate, and especially in the starting lineup when you have a lot of players who can ISO, Zach LaVine just tries to take the ball for himself and drives heavy into the lane and hopes for a bucket. Zach LaVine was a 46% three-point shooter on the Bulls. He comes to the Kings, and thus far, he's shooting 19% from three. He cannot shoot. And I know it's the Sacramento Kings effect. Nobody can shoot good three-pointers on the Kings. That's just how it is nowadays. And Zach LaVine is the perfect embodiment of that. He cannot shoot threes, and he has horrible shot IQ. He'll have his teammates open, but instead he'll drive to the hoop and try to shoot a heavily contested shot. Sometimes he'll make it, and sometimes it looks cool, yeah. But it just doesn't work out. And Zach LaVine, I was told that before he got traded to the Kings, he can play some decent defense. No, he can't. I've watched the games. Zach LaVine can't defend my grandmother. My grandmother has like walking problems and has to use a walking stick. Zach LaVine cannot guard her. Zach LaVine can't guard a single soul that he covers on the court.
Oh, man. For reference, Zach LaVine right now, 23.5 points per game, 4.6 rebounds and 4.4 assists, and shooting 50% from the field, which was better before he went to the Kings, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know what the problem is. Maybe Zach LaVine is struggling to find his rhythm on this Kings team. I mean, it's obviously the Kings haven't been shooting the ball well at all. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox had problems shooting the ball. The only person who could really shoot the ball well sometimes Malik Monk does good on the spot shooting where he just pulls up and shoots. Keon Ellis has been doing pretty good throwing the three, but it's ucky. It's very that's all I could describe Zach LaVine right now is it's not working out right now. And I'm a firm believer that maybe hopefully he'll find his flow, he'll find his rhythm, and he'll be back to normal. Although he is very flashy. I'll give you that, Joe. He is very flashy on the court. And he knows he's like Malik Monk, but Malik Monk can shoot the ball.
Yeah, I'd say so. But Malik Monk actually hits his shots when he drives to the lane. I think that's the biggest thing of Zach Levine is that he's too careless with the ball and he's not used to not being the number one option. I mean, he played with DeRozan for a few years in Chicago, but Zach Levine was there for 8 years. This was Zach Levine's team before it was DeMar's team. And I think when you come to a team where Domantas Sabonis and DeMar DeRozan are there, it's just a contention on who wants to be the number one player. And that brings us to our next topic. Who's next to take the reins of the Kings? What do you think, Bryce?
Yeah. Well, if we're going by years on the team, it has to be our boy Domas. I feel like Domas right now is a very good center, and I will 10 toes down. Domas got robbed of the All-Star game.
Oh, 100%.
He got robbed.
Jaren Jackson Jr. and Şengün are both not better than him.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull up Domantas Sabonis's stats just so people know. 20.4.
Yeah, 2014. 6, I think.
Yeah, 2014 and 6, shooting 60% from the field. He's averaging a double-double. That's crazy.
14 points a game, which is the most in the league. 14 rebounds, I mean.
Yeah, which is insane to me too. I'm trying to pull up his three-point percentage because I'm pretty sure he's the most accurate three-point shooter in the league right now.
He's shooting like 43%.
45.
45. That's pretty good.
He's shooting 45 from.
Yeah, he's shooting 40, which is pretty good. And I agree with you, Bryce, that so this is Domas's team now. But I think that it's the only reason why it's Domas's team is because he's been here the longest. I think that the most important aspect to this team, especially after this De'Aaron Fox trade, I gotta say DeMar, because DeMar has showed up and showed out in the past few games. He shot extremely efficiently. If you watch the overtime game against the Mavericks, he took over, dropped 42 points, took over in overtime, had some clutch plays. With DeMar DeRozan scoring and Domantas Sabonis' rebounding, defense, screen setting, and his offense, it leads the King to the Kings. They have a pretty good thing going on. And then they got Malik Monk who can shoot the three. Malik can drive to the lane and make shots. Malik is that guy. He's clutch. They got Zach LaVine. We know how we feel about Zach LaVine. Up and coming Keegan Murray, Keon Ellis, all those guys. I think that there isn't a specific leader of the team. I think this is DeMar and Domantas' team, but I think Domantas will stick around more long-term because DeMar is 35 years old. But I think DeMar will just play out his contract, which was a 3 years. So he has 2 more years after this year. I think after that, DeMar's done. But I think this is both of their teams because the De'Aaron Fox trade has benefited both players a lot. Like DeMar has been on a tear since Fox got traded.
Yeah, and on paper, what I always thought that what the Kings were doing when Mike Brown was coach is they weren't playing Domas as a true center. They were playing him as a power forward. And I feel like if we continue doing that, it will work out. But what Doug Christie has done well is he brought in a center to put there instead of Alex Lynn. So Domas can play this power forward position and dominate in. We have Valanciunas. Yes, if we play Valanciunas and Domas on the court at the same time, Domas could be dominant as a power forward because he plays center ball. He's super physical. Obviously, he shoots weird. I hate when he shoots the 3-point, and sometimes he's super inconsistent. He's super inconsistent when he shoots from the elbow. I hate when he shoots from the elbow because it's either he swishes it in or he bricks it. There's no in between. There's no bank. It's always whoosh, or cling. There's nothing in between. It's horrible.
Something I would like to bring up. Actually, now that you mentioned it, I was watching the Kings game yesterday, and Domas airballed the 3, and I was like, "Bro, come on." But what you're saying about Valanciunas and Domas being on the same team, Doug Christie against the Mavericks, he actually tried this out, and the Kings were down by 11 with only 6 or 7 minutes left to go. He brought Valanciunas and Domas in at the same time, and they were dominant. Every board, they were both every missed shot. Valanciunas or Sabonis was there to pick it up and tip it back in. They played great defense. Jonas Valanciunas is an amazing defender. Sabonis is pretty good at defense. Both of them together, they're very good together, and I think Doug Christie should look to be playing them both at the same time more often. I think the only reason why they shouldn't both be starting is because they're two big men that can run out of stamina that can run out of stamina very quickly. So yeah, that's just kind of like the kind of whole thing I've taken from this is that there's a main guy on the Kings. However, I think that everybody's contributing their fair share to the team's recent success.
Yeah, and to add playing two big men on the court at the same time, I feel like something you don't want to start off with, but it's something that you should probably put in maybe if the lead gets out of hand, or if you can. Sorry, hold on. If the league gets out of hand and you need rebounds and need to start scoring points, I say you put the two big men in. So if you miss shots, you could get boards and dish it back out. That's the most important thing that the Kings need to do. And I feel like that's what they did with the Mavericks. The lead got out of hand. They weren't able to do anything with it. So what they did was they threw these people in there that could rebound, get the board so we could start scoring points. And obviously it works. I'm very happy that it works. And I want to see more of it. I loved seeing both of them on the court. Obviously, they have chemistry together. They've played with each other on the national level. They played against each other quite a bit. There's a chemistry there. They like each other. It seems like they get along. They're like brothers. So I want to see more of it there. And to answer the second part of this headline, we obviously answered who's the leader of the Kings. We say Domas to Debo. Yeah. But now the next question is, can we expect success? Now, obviously, we're in the play-in spot. If the season ends right now, we're in a play-in spot. Do you think we're making it out of the play-in tournament, Joe?
Yes, 100%. I think as of now we're the 9th seed. Let me look up the West standings real quick. But I'm pretty sure we're the 9th seed. And with the play-in teams, those are all teams we have beat pretty sufficiently before. Right now we are we're the 9th seed, and we're only behind the Mavericks by one game. Mavericks only have one more win, and we have tiebreakers over them. So if we win tonight and the Mavericks lose anytime soon, we'll be above the Mavericks in the 8th seed spot. I think it's crucial we get the 8th seed spot, because if we hit the 8th seed spot, we only have to win. We only have to win one game to make it. And if we lose one, then we can play either the Warriors or the Suns, and I think those are teams the Kings can beat. I think that if the Kings do make the playoffs, the Kings are probably the most underrated team in the league right now, because ever since Mike Brown left, they've been firing on all cylinders. So they've been crazy at that. And I think that everybody just kind of has the Kings under their radar. But I think if the Kings sneak in as the 7th seed, I think they can beat the Grizzlies in a 4-game series. I mean, we've handled them pretty well this season. And that was before we had Valanciunas. That was before we had LaRavia and Markelle Fultz. Well, we'll see how Fultz does tonight. But that was before we had this new and improved style and bench. I think if we play the Grizzlies, I think we can beat them in a 4-game series, maybe in 7 or 6. I think if we're against the Thunder, it's a lost cause. I don't think we'll beat the Thunder at all. I think maybe we can win 1 game against them, maybe 2 if we're lucky, but there's no way we beat the Thunder. But I think we can upset either the Grizzlies or maybe even the Nuggets. Nuggets do have Jokic, but now that we have Valanciunas, we have defensive support. So I think the Kings, if they do make the playoffs, hopefully it's we keep winning and we hit like the 6th seed. We're only a few games. We're like 6 games behind that. So if we just keep winning we're only 4 games behind that. So if we keep winning and the Clippers start to drop games, which I hope they do, we can maybe sneak in with the 6th seed spot and play the 3rd seeded Nuggets or maybe even the Rockets. I fully believe that if the Rockets end up as the 2nd seed or something like that, I think we can beat the Rockets in a 7-game series or the Grizzlies. But I think if we play the Nuggets or the Thunder, I think we're done. Maybe we can beat the Nuggets, but who knows? And so yeah, I think if we sneak in, we're definitely capable of doing damage. And if not this year, we're keeping most of those players. Monk's under contract for another 2 years. Levine's under contract, or he needs a new contract, but he's going to be cheaper than Fox. Who knows if we resign him? DeMar has 2 more years. Keegan has like 2 more years. Sabonis has 2 more years. All our guys are under contract, so I think we can come back next season and be an even better team than we are now, even if we don't see the success this season.
Yeah, and like you said, if my thing is like I feel like the Rockets are kind of just like a raise of an eyebrow. I feel like everyone's like, how are they doing this? Like honestly, how are they doing this? How are they so high in the standings? But like you said, like I think, and I agree, we will lose against the Thunder. We've seen what the Thunder can freaking do to us. We lost 144 to 110
Yeah, that was De'Aaron
which
Fox's
is
last game.
it's embarrassing, man. It's super embarrassing, especially playing at home. We were playing home that game, right? No, we weren't. Sorry, I thought we were playing at home that game. We weren't.
Oh, we were
But
away.
even then, the game that we played before them, we lost 130 to 109. So the Thunder are just overall just a really dominant team, and the Kings won't be able to compete against them. But I think if they play against the Nuggets, they'll have a chance because obviously Valanciunas and he can play defense. The Rockets, I feel like the Rockets are kind of like they're like, okay, maybe they're going to start losing games. Hopefully, that's what I assume is they're going to start losing games and start falling off a little bit. In the Grizzly, now that's interesting. We talked about the Grizzly. I think it was either last podcast or 2 podcasts ago about them having a good lineup. They got rid of Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart isn't there anymore,
I think that was a stupid trade.
and he's a bucket. So obviously, they're kind of lost a little bit of quality on the bench. So there's even more room for us to sweep up in there and get something because obviously we have Keon Ellis off the bench, and we have this new guard that we just got off of free agency. So it's interesting to see if things will pan out, and if we do go against the Grizzly, I feel like we could take them on and we could possibly win. It's just hopefully we can, if we can move up to the point where we don't even need a face against them, and we could just get a playing team. If we could get to maybe like the 6th seed, which I don't think it's possible, but if we could get to the 6th seed, I feel like we'd be a comfortable ride into a deep playoff run. Do I think that we'll have success this year? No. Just because we took when Doug Christie took over the team, we were already a losing team. We were already struggling. I feel like we need a clean slate. We need to start fresh, and we need to show everyone that this team could start winning. But it sucks for Doug Christie because he took over a time where we were already low. So it's interesting to see. I just like I'm excited to see what we could do if we make a playoff run. I know if we make a playoff run, it's going to be very interesting to see. I just hope that we play against a team that we could beat. Now, let's talk about it's a little outdated, I'm going to admit, but I didn't watch it, to be fair. I watched the highlights. I kept up on it, looked at the stats. The NFL Super Bowl. Joe, I know you loved it, didn't you?
That was seriously one of, if not the worst Super Bowl I've watched in my life because I hate both teams. And it was an absolute blowout from the start. The Eagles took over 24-0 and a half. And I was like, I texted my dad. I was like, it's over. The Eagles won. He's like, no, it's not. Patrick Mahomes is going to make a comeback because he's Mahomes. And I said, I'll bet you $100. I bet my dad $100 that the Chiefs would not come back. And I walked out $100 richer. So the Eagles just took over. I don't know what happened. I know what happened to the Chiefs. They stopped getting that bull ref favoring stuff. No calls were made for them. And Patrick Mahomes folded under pressure because Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to say this now. He may be the best quarterback in the league right now, arguably. He's been the best the past 5 years. However, he does not compare, not even close to Tom Brady. I don't think Patrick Mahomes will ever scrape the surface of being close to Tom Brady because Patrick Mahomes does have 3 Super Bowls, but Patrick Mahomes is not a clutch performer. If Tom Brady was in that Super Bowl, if he was the quarterback of that Chiefs, he would have brought them back from that 24-point deficit. And even if they didn't win, he would have brought them close. He wouldn't have let his team get embarrassed like that. Also, Patrick Mahomes made some critical mistakes. That Cooper DeJean pick 6, that was electrifying to watch. I love that. Go ahead.
Sorry, Joe. I had to raise my hand. You were on a roll there. But there's a lot of people theorizing that Patrick Mahomes wasn't all there. He had 1 sack early on in the game where he hit his head pretty hard on the turf, and people are theorizing that he got a concussion early in the game and he was seeing things. But like you said, Tom Brady, he's done a comeback before. Everyone knows the 28-3 game.
Yes.
That was bigger than a 24-point deficit, and he came back and he won. So Mahomes, this game just set him back 2 or 3 levels of where he could have been to basically take over Tom Brady. So now, I feel like if Mahomes won this Super Bowl, got the repeat, that's another accolade under his belt, and he kept winning with the Chiefs. I feel like he could have been the greatest just because of accolades. But he lost. He showed that he isn't a clutch player, which we kind of already knew that he wasn't a clutch player, but it showed that like you can't always depend on him. Not to mention, Travis Kelce had a stinker of a first half.
Oh my gosh. I was so happy to watch that because I heavily dislike Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. I don't like either of them. And I was so glad to see him struggle because there's a lot of argument the past 2 years about Travis Kelce being a better tight end than Gronk. People have the audacity to say that Kelsey's the best tight end of all time. No, he's not. People say he's second of all time. No, he's not. Travis Kelce, at best, is the fourth best tight end of all time. Tony Gonzalez, Rob Gronkowski, and Antonio Gates are all better than that guy. There are probably even a couple more that I can't even think of right now. Maybe Kellen Winslow. Shoot. I think that he's not even comparable to the greatest tight end of all time. And especially as of current, there are 3 current tight ends better than Travis Kelce. George Kittle, Brock Bowers, and Trade McBride. I knew Travis Kelce was overrated ever since the season started and last season too. He didn't even hit 1,000 yards last season. Nobody talked about it. Nobody talked about it whatsoever. This season, he had a horrible season, dropping passes, not playing as well as he used to be, and it was noticeable. Travis Kelce has not been the same player, and I think part of the reason why he's still relevant is because he's dating Taylor Swift. If he wasn't dating Taylor Swift and wasn't so popular, he's what do they call themselves? The Swifties. He wouldn't be as recognized. I mean, this season, he only had 823 yards, which is a lot, but for Travis Kelce's best tight end in the world caliber, that is not even close to enough. And only 3 touchdowns this season. Disappointing season from Travis Kelce, to say the least.
Oh, my God. Travis Kelce has become more and more of a punk every single year in this league. And I'm not sure if you noticed this, Joe. In the Bills game, Travis Kelce got in one of the Bills players' face and drew a personal foul penalty when it was obviously on Travis Kelce for initiating contact.
That's how it is.
And then in the Super Bowl, Travis Kelce did the same thing to the Eagles player, and the Eagles kept their head and knew that this guy is going to draw a penalty and he's going to be a punk. They put their hands behind their back, and then Travis Kelce just did nothing, absolutely nothing. In fact, the funny thing is, I'm going to mention this. Kendrick Lamar during the halftime show had more yards gained than the whole Chiefs offense the whole game. The whole game.
Travis Kelce or Kendrick Lamar did walk a lot. Speaking of that, we talked a lot about the game. What did you think of the halftime show?
Okay, Joe. People are going to say, quote, the worst halftime show ever. I disagree. I'm not one of them.
I disagree too.
Loved the halftime show. And obviously I'm a big Kendrick Lamar fan. I like his music. I like rap music in general. So like I was bumping my head. I was singing the songs, you know. But I feel like the people were like, oh, it's not flashy enough. Oh, it's too this. Oh, it's too that. They don't understand the deeper meaning behind the halftime show. He's painting a light on how there's a cultural divide and how that you just need to understand that it's not stereotypical. People assume, oh, like rap's too ghetto. And like obviously Samuel Jackson said that during the halftime show, showing like this is just music. It's not about who they are or what they are. It's just how they express themselves. So it was definitely interesting to see. I liked how they did it. My favorite song, the whole performance was Luther. And oh my God, I love Luther. People are going to say, Not Like Us. Not Like Us was a great ending.
I love
how we did it.
Really about to do it? You know, they like to sue. Are you really about to do it? Oh, it was so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the whole stadium saying A minor. That was tough.
Yes. And also, what I liked about it too is it was good because it was more of like, okay, like it's more of like a vibe. It's more of like, okay, because people need to understand New Orleans, city of jazz, but in recent time, it's Lil Wayne city. Lil Wayne is from New Orleans. He owns that city. That's a rap city right now. So they already like rap. But that's what I want to say too. I feel like Lil Wayne was snubbed of the Super Bowl halftime show. Lil Wayne has banger of songs, bangers and bangers and bangers of songs. And Lil Wayne could have brought out literally anyone in the rap industry do this halftime show. But I'm not complaining because we got Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar was good. I like that he played a lot of his catalogs. He played Humble again. He played Humble in 2020 when it was in Los Angeles. But you can't complain. Humble's a good song. He played DNA. DNA is a good song. He played Euphoria. That's a good song.
I wish he just went to the I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. He should have done that part.
But he also I feel like the thing that people are gonna say is, oh, he only got the halftime show because of the whole like Not Like Us and the Drake beef. But Kendrick Lamar is
too. The very successful album he's dropped recently.
Yeah.
You know, all that stuff. It's a combination of things.
And I feel like right now in the music industry, the only person deserving of that halftime show was Kendrick Lamar. 5 Grammys on one song is insane, even though it is a diss track. Still crazy to me. Sorry to get water. I'm parched. But Kendrick Lamar's halftime show, I loved it. I liked the meaning. I liked the colors. It was very more of okay. And I feel like this is a halftime show that the players wanted too. Like, I feel bad for the players because they get snubbed of a good show, you know. And some players do stay out and don't even go into the locker room during halftime because they want to watch the show. And I feel like I'm going to be honest. I watched a halftime show on YouTube 3 times already.
I haven't rewatched it, but I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I think the dancing could have been a little bit better, the dancing was good, but I feel like it could have been more flashy by having flying platforms or something like that. But I thought I didn't think it was boring, but I just thought it was kind of interesting how he just was walking up and down the field basically the whole time. But I thought it was pretty cool when SZA came out saying All the Stars and all these
Luther.
good songs.
Yeah, she sang Luther. I love Luther.
And when he started off with some bangers. I mean, he always has some good songs. He ended off with TV Off, which was pretty cool. And at the end, they had the light show that said Game Over. I'm a big Kendrick fan, so I personally love this halftime show. I don't even care if he wasn't dancing. I don't care if he was just standing on the stage and just singing the whole time. I thought it would have been good because I just like Kendrick.
Although, I'm going to go back on my word. I have one thing to complain about. Why do you bring out Mustard but not even your own cousin? Bring out your own cousin and play Family Tie, God damn it! I want to hear the trumpets.
He should have done that.
It pissed me off. The whole crowd would have been bumping it.
Dun, 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 dun. That would have been so tough.
Yeah, we're on the same page. Exactly. I mean, even though that he didn't do that, Mustard, he did the whole Mustard. Yeah, everyone knows Mustard on TV Off. That's a good part of the song. I was happy overall with the show. Me and my dad, we vowed we weren't going to watch the Super Bowl because we didn't like the teams, and we stuck to it. I didn't watch a single minute of the Super Bowl other than the YouTube highlight reel. That way I know what I'm talking about during this podcast. Other than that, I did not want to watch the game. And in fact, I didn't watch the game. I turned on the halftime show. I watched it. I clapped. I was happy. I had a smile on my face, and I went to my room, and I watched the movie because I did not want to watch it. And I'm happy I didn't watch it because it was a shitty game, a very bad game. The only one thing I liked seeing was that Patrick Mahomes got sacked 6 times, and the refs didn't bail him out a single time. Although at the beginning of the game, they threw I heard they threw a flag in the PI, and my mom went to a Super Bowl party. She was like, "Oh boy, here it goes. It's going to start." And also what's kind of interesting, and I feel like I don't like to say this, but I feel like the Eagles kind of got away with a lot in the Super Bowl. I feel like a lot of the flags weren't thrown that should have been thrown on the Eagles. So I feel like the NFL is kind of accommodate the whole the Chiefs are cheating or the refs are on the Chiefs side in the Super Bowl, giving the Eagles a little more leeway. But even then, I feel like it was a pretty fair called game, and it was just complete domination.
Oh yeah, for sure. I hate to see the Eagles win, but at the end of the day, they won, so can't really hate on that.
But hey, you also have to realize Cooper DeJean is not a safety.
Cornerback 1. Cooper DeJean is cornerback 1. Yeah, that was tough. Okay, when that happened, I was like, that's when I started rooting for the Eagles because before I wasn't rooting for anyone, but I was like, okay, yeah, let's go Eagles. I don't want to see the Chiefs win this again. So
Cooper DeJean is a dog, man. Cooper
DeJean, he's cornerback 1. He's not safety.
Unpopular opinion, I feel like in the Super Bowl, his performance might have just put him over the hump to say that he should have, and probably is in my heart defensive rookie of the year.
I don't think so. Jared Bush was a dog.
But did he get a pick 6 in the Super Bowl?
No. Well, yeah, he wasn't there.
I know,
That's
I
a
know.
regular season award.
Yeah, but it's definitely interesting. I'm happy to see that Cooper DeJean was able to do his thing. Patrick Mahomes absolutely dominated. The Eagles defense looked like the best defense in the league out there. Although I do feel like sorry, I got a text. I do feel like the Chiefs weren't deserving of going to the Super Bowl at all. The Chiefs were a borderline good team this year. They got very lucky in their games. Most of their wins were like one possession games.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay, your team going for a three-peat. You're allegedly the best team in the league, but you only win by one possession per game. And like, obviously, it's important to win games when it matters most, which they did. So you got to give them their flowers. But when you're being hyped up to be the best team in the whole league, and you win by one possession, seriously, that's not what you want from a team, especially when you're going to three-peat. I keep saying that in air quotes because it's a joke.
It is a joke. I agree. They shouldn't have been there.
Now, Joe, we had this as a topic last episode. We didn't talk to it, and we don't have a headline for this. Pre free agency, pre-draft theories for next year. What do you think is going to happen next year, Joe?
Well, if we look at the NFC, I think that the same teams that were good last year will also be good this year. I mean, the Eagles that are good this year will also be good next year. I mean, we got the Eagles. As much as I hate the Eagles, they're going to be essentially almost the same team as they were this year. So there's someone to look out for. But then you got the Lions, who they did lose their offensive and defensive coordinator. So if they can recover from that, I think they'll still be a good team. They do have a lot of free agents. This year was the Lions' year. They really should have beat the Commanders, and they would have beat the Lion or the Eagles, in my opinion, and they would have smacked the Chiefs, first Super Bowl ever, but they just choked. You guys may think this is a biased take, but you still got to watch out for the Niners. They're still a great team. I mean, they have Robert Saleh again. If they re-sign Dre Greenlaw, I think the Niners will be the same, if not better than the team that they were when they went to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. So they're definitely a team to look out for. And the AFC, I think you got the same teams to worry about too. I mean, you got the Ravens. I think they'll be better than they were this year. The Bills, get Josh Allen a proper weapon in free agency, and you can do a lot with that. I think the Chiefs will start to run out of their magic soon. The Texans, don't sleep on the Texans. They'll be a great team. I mean, they got CJ Stroud. He had a little bit of a down year this season, but once he gets Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, and Tank Dell, Tank Dell's not going to be back for a while. But once he gets his guys back and the Texans just start winning more, I think that they'll be a better team. So that's kind of the takes I got right now for that.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of took my things, and I feel like there's nothing I can really say because I feel like we have the kind of same agreement here going on. I like the Lions, I have the Niners, and I have the Eagles, unfortunately. Competitive in the West. Maybe the Commanders.
Oh, yeah.
If Jaden Daniels stays consistent. If he has a good season this year, hopefully, fingers crossed, if he has a good season, they'll be up there again. Now on the AFC is going to be Ravens, Bills, Texans, and the Chiefs. I feel like overall, I really, really, really want to see the Bills do something. The Bills are just a franchise full of heartbreak, man. How many times do you have to be so good and never win? Never win.
4 straight Super Bowls. My dad was in high school when that happened every single year. Like my dad's freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year, the Bills lost. Every single year he was in high school, the Bills lost the Super Bowl.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking, man. If I was a Bills fan, I would be mad, especially because they can't get over this hump against the Chiefs. But I feel like if they could get a weapon, and maybe develop their defense a little bit more, they'll be dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Again, Josh Allen just came off of an MVP season. You got to remember that. Josh Allen was the MVP of the league. Thank goodness.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank God for that.
Very interesting, very interesting. Did you want to talk about another topic that we typed in earlier, or do you want to leave that for the next episode?
We'll save it for the next episode because we're at
okay.
now.
we're going to go into our draft. This draft, very interesting. No research, off the dome. We're going to go draft movie theater snacks. Joe, is there a way that you want to determine who's getting the first pick, or how do you want to do this?
You know what, Bryce? I'm feeling extra nice today. You can go ahead and have the first pick.
Now, I have a question. Are we talking about movie theater snacks, including popcorn or not including popcorn?
Including popcorn. It's a movie theater snack.
Okay, then number one overall, you have to go popcorn. You can't watch a movie without popcorn.
That's true. That's true. I agree with you. Popcorn's like a staple in this series. Popcorn is the Tom Brady of movie snacks. I mean, when you think movie snacks, first thing that comes to my mind, first thing you say when you bring up going to the movie theater, I think popcorn. So
Exactly.
that's
It's the face of the franchise. Popcorn is the face of the franchise, and you don't disrespect popcorn. Popcorn is the number one overall pick in any draft. In anyone's opinion, popcorn will be not anyone's, but in most opinions, popcorn is the face of any franchise. I'm just saying that. He's the face of the franchise. He's going to be the face of my team, too. This is Popcorn's team. We're building this team around popcorn.
I agree with you. That's valid. But I'm going to go ahead and take this to the candy side of things. This, in my opinion, is the best. Me and Bryce talked about this one earlier. This is the best movie theater snack of candy you can possibly buy, possibly get your grimy little hands on. I'm going with Mike and Ike's, baby.
No!
The best movie theater candy. I only eat Mike and Ike's if it's the movie theater. I will never go to the store and buy them. I will only buy Mike and Ike's if it's at a movie theater.
No, Joe. Okay. You will only eat them in the movie theater, but I eat them all the time. Mike and Ike's number two favorite candy. Number one has to be the purple package of the Skittles. I think they're what's their called? What are they called? Brain fart.
Wildberry or something.
Wildberry. There we go. The Wildberry Skittles. Oh, number one overall favorite ever candy. Okay, so you have candy. I feel like the only good thing in the movie theater now is probably candy. I mean, maybe you could go for another entree, but I feel like at the movie theater, it's always the and then maybe the boxes. I'm gonna go here. You're gonna be surprised, Joe. And I don't think you might have it on your radar. Maybe a couple people have it on their radar. Give me Milk Duds. Milk Duds are another GOAT in the movie theater candy league. What do you think about that pick, Joe? Because you look upset.
I don't know if they're the GOAT, but
not the GOAT, but one of the faces. One of the faces of the candy.
I don't even think of that. I don't think they're good. I like Milk Duds. I think they're severely underrated, but I just don't like that's just like out of left field. I feel like a lot of people don't really eat Milk Duds at the movie theater.
Okay, I have a question, Joe. Are we going 3 or 5?
Let's go 3. I feel like I'm running out of options.
Okay.
Okay. For mine though, you picked Milk Duds, but I'm picking Milk Duds a bit better older brother. This is like you picked Milk Duds, which is Eli Manning. I'm about to pick Peyton Manning. I'm going with cookie dough bites, baby.
I was just about to. If you can't see my phone, but I have like Google up, and I was gonna put cookie dough bites and then show you the picture so you know what I'm talking about. I was gonna pick that, and I'm not someone who has had them in the movie theater, but I've seen a lot of people have them and they love it. So I was like, you know what? Hey, I need that on my team. That will be a good player to bring into my team to elevate the team. Obviously, I have popcorn, I have Milk Duds. So I have the popcorn, I have the chocolate. I feel like I kind of have to go a little bit more sweet here. Maybe some might say a little bit sour. If you know where I'm going. I feel like the perfect combination between sweet and sour. Now, there's 2 options you could go for. You could go for the Sour Patch Kids or the Sour Patch Watermelons. But I got to go with the classic Sour Patch Kids. I got the popcorn, I got the chocolate, and I got the sweet and sour candy. I think I won this draft just with that pick. I'm just saying that, Joe.
Well, since you took Sour Patch Kids, this was my plan all along, was to take Sour Patch Watermelons. I'm taking those in my 3rd pick. I think both are great, but I like the watermelons just a little bit more. I think we're pretty even on this one, but low-key, I think you win this because you got popcorn. But we'll see what the viewers think.
Yeah, no. I had watermelon on my radar, but the only problem with the watermelon, in my opinion, is you're limited to one flavor. I mean,
That's
what
true.
happens if you want a different flavor? You can't. You can only have watermelon. And obviously, people who go to the movie theater will get watermelon because they want watermelon. But what happens if you're going with a friend, right? Or you're going with your mom or your girlfriend or someone like, hey, can I have one? And they get a watermelon and they don't like watermelon. You just screwed them over, Joe. You just screwed them over. So you gotta be a team player. And right now, I feel like I built a team. I built a team that can support my teammates. So I got the popcorn. That's shareable. I got the candy. I got the Milk Duds. That's shareable. And I got the Sour Patch Kids, which have different flavors that will satisfy everyone's needs. I'm just saying, Joe, I think I won. And if I had an honorable mention, I'm taking Skittles or Starburst. Skittles and Starburst are dominant candies outside of the movie theater, but inside of the movie theater, I feel like they have a good chance.
My honorable mention would be Red Vines, but
licorice. Ooh, licorice is pretty good too. Now, Joe, do you like black licorice? Do you like black licorice or no?
Yeah, no.
Okay. I used to like black licorice, but then I stopped because I discovered that it was nasty. Also, unpopular opinion, black licorice is bad, but black jelly beans are pretty good.
I've never had it. Oh, there's like the coffee ones?
No, they're like the licorice, but like as in jelly beans. So they're like the taste, but like super small. So it's just like bite, and it's like, okay, it's a unique taste. Which honestly, I'm still trying to get my taste buds. So what is the flavor of black? Like, what is that actual flavor?
I wish I knew.
Is it supposed to be like tar flavor? I don't know. It's very interesting. Like I never actually thought about that. Like what are they trying to create this flavor off of? I mean, everyone knows it is black licorice. But what is the actual flavor name of it?
Licorice flavor. I'm looking it up right now. Chemical called glycyrrhizin, which is 50 times sweeter than cane sugar. That does not answer my question. It says Anzi seeds.
I don't know.
Ozo, Targa. These are all stuff I've never heard of. That's why I'll never put that in my mouth.
Yeah, my grandpa loves black licorice. He loves every Christmas, every birthday, any time of the year. We always give it to him because he oh my gosh, he devours it. I think that wraps up the draft. Very competitive draft, very fun draft. I enjoyed this topic a lot. And I feel like we could do something else with it. Maybe next episode with Merrick, we could do ice cream flavors. I feel like that's a good topic. We need to do ice cream flavors.
I agree with you.
Ooh, or we could do ice cream toppings too.
Dude, that'd be tough. Actually,
you know what? Hey, I just realized something slipped in the gummy bears.
How did nobody take gummy bears, bro?
It fell in the draft.
That's like a staple. Hot take though, when they sell pizza and stuff at movie theaters, I never want to touch that. That seems so disgusting. Like eating pizza's good, but like movie theater shouldn't be like a whole meal. Like I'm never gonna buy like a whole meal at a movie theater. Like that's disgusting.
See, my mind was going that, okay, so I went popcorn, I went like a staple in the movie theater franchise. I thought maybe you would go a good old hot dog or maybe nachos, Nachos are pretty popular in movie theaters.
I just can't eat like a meal in a movie theater. It's disgusting to me.
Yeah, which I don't blame you because I've never done it before, so I don't know how it is to be a part of that franchise of the movie theater foods. It's interesting to see. I definitely enjoyed this draft. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap up this episode? Anyone you want to shout out? Thank you to?
No, I just want to.
Hey, your quote. What was the quote of the episode?
Oh shoot. Okay. Before I think of my quote. Before I think of my quote, I'm just going to say thank you to the viewers for your continued support, especially all of you that have been watching every single episode. We really support you watching us and just giving us our support and, just being good fans. Bryce and I have really enjoyed this through 6 episodes, and we continue to just keep going with it. We're going to try and get more guests on this podcast. And Merrick's going to come back a lot of times. So yeah, that's just kind of the direction we're going with this. And in honor of Cobra Kai season 6 part 3 coming out today, I'm not going to spoil it, But my goat Miguel Diaz once said, "There is no honor in being merciless." So you guys got to remember, there is no honor in being merciless. So if you are just chill and not like a aggressive person, you'll have a lot of honor in life. So that's just kind of how we'll take that.
I think that's a perfect way to wrap up the podcast. Thank you everyone for listening, watching, viewing, subscribing, liking the video. It's very I appreciate everyone supporting the podcast. Joe, we both have one super fan of mine that we love and we honor. And for this viewer, I'm going to call you out right now on the podcast. How can I move up on your Yellow Jacket list? I don't want to be at the bottom of this Yellow Jacket list. Please, let me know in the comments what I could do to move up this Yellow Jacket tier list, because I do not want to be at the bottom any longer. I'm just saying there's a few names up there that me and Joe could both surpass. So just let us know, Steve. I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out on the podcast. Let us know, please. I want to move up, Steve. Please, please, please. Also, sorry, sorry, Joe. This became super unserious, but I do appreciate everyone watching. This is extremely fun to film. Me and Joe, we kind of just go out there, have no idea what we're gonna do, talk about it for like 5 minutes before we record, and then we just you get what you see, I guess. Yeah, you unedited most of the time. Sometimes I cut things out because there's some things that you're gonna
have to cut some of the words you said today.
Yeah, I was very frustrated, but it's okay. Other than that, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode. New episode hopefully coming soon. Peace.